Roger, some people might not be aware of the great work that Gloucestershire Wildlife Trust does in promoting and protecting the wildlife habitat. Can you just let businesses know what in particular you do?
I think one of the really important things, Dan, that I think I'm really proud of here in Gloucestershire is our reach. So we top the charts of all the wildlife trusts across the nation because we've got the highest reach of any trust in the country. So about 5% of people in Gloucestershire are members of the Wildlife Trust, and that's something we're incredibly proud of. So I hope at least 5% people have a good idea of what we're trying to do. But I guess most people's initial response is around the 60 wild places we manage. So some of those are really popular, places like Crickley Hill or Cooper's Hill that people have heard of. We've got a cracking reserve north of Gloucester called Coombe Hill, a great wetland reserve. But we have another 50-odd places around the county that are great places where wildlife can thrive. But that's not the end of the story, and I think for businesses, there are 2 or 3 areas that we're really trying to push. And we call those areas natural solutions, areas where we're trying to say, even if you don't care about wildlife, nature's important to your business and the way you operate.
And there are other environmental and wildlife groups in Gloucestershire, but Gloucestershire Wildlife Trust is one of the leaders, or the leaders, in this area.
Well, we're really lucky in Gloucestershire to have a couple of national organisations who have their bases here. So the Wetlands and Wildfowl Trust in Slimbridge, have a cracking, and Westernborough Arboretum, 2 amazing visitor experiences, but also 2 amazing hubs of national wildlife activity. But we're, in terms of local wildlife, you know, it's probably true to say we're one of the biggest organisations, and I think we take that responsibility very seriously. I think one of the things that's important for me is that it means we need to engage with businesses in the county, and we take that responsibility seriously too. So, for example, I think our relationship with the LEP is something I'm really proud of. I think the LEP have gone the extra mile in saying, actually, the environment is something that's really important here in Gloucestershire. Unless we recognise that we've got a cracking environment that attracts businesses and attracts people to live and work here, and unless we recognise that we've got to protect that, then businesses aren't going to thrive here.
And there's great uncertainty in both economically and politically with the Brexit negotiations and after the June elections here. How has that affected Gloucestershire Wildlife Trust as far as fundraising and membership in other areas?
I think one of the things that people perhaps have kind of missed in this debate is that nearly all of our environmental legislation was discussed in Brussels initially. So in a sense, this move towards transferring that into domestic legislation creates a huge bit of uncertainty for us. So I think for us it's meant immediately that we've had to think about extending some income streams. We've had to become a little bit entrepreneurial, a bit more nimble, a bit more thinking about different ways for people to support us.
And how can chamber members engage with the trust?
I think one of the things we found is that all businesses are different in terms of the way they want to engage with the trust. So we have a corporate partnerships programme, and we're lucky enough to have many businesses in the county supporting us through that programme. But increasingly, the businesses who get real value out of working with the trust come to us and say, we think our staff, or we love the environment, we're in a business where the environment's important to us. How can you help?
And what are your plans for the next 12 to 18 months?
What we're facing is some big infrastructure changes in the county. So we've got things like the A417, a great opportunity to kind of to think about that redualling of that road, but it's going through a very sensitive area environmentally. So we're working very early on with highways to make sure we can find a solution that delivers for people who want to travel through the A417 more quickly, but also delivers for the environment as well. But I think for the Trust, we're opening our first education and visitor centre next year. That's a huge, important on the water. It's going to be a huge deal for us. And I think we've got this new concept of gateway sites. So sites around the county where we can welcome people, perhaps people who haven't thought about wildlife as their initial passion, but for people who I think wildlife and the environment should be an important part of their lives. So I think we're looking for new ways to engage people. So as well as looking after our wild places, as well as being champions for nature and for wildlife, we also want to really focus on that connection between people and businesses and wildlife too.